The richest person in your neighborhood probably doesn't look rich at all. Not the guy with the Mercedes. Not the family posting luxury vacations every month. Not the person wearing designer brands from head to toe. No. It's probably the quiet guy with the old Toyota, the normal house, and the faded polo shirt. And once you understand why, you'll never look at money the same way again. Because modern society has completely confused looking rich with being wealthy. Most people spend their entire lives buying status, while actual wealthy people are quietly buying freedom. And the dangerous part is that if you copy the wrong people, you can spend decades chasing a lifestyle that secretly keeps you broke. You're at a backyard barbecue on a normal Saturday. Kids screaming, burgers burning, somebody talking too loudly about fantasy football. Then your neighbor casually says something that changes everything. Yeah, we just paid cash for our daughter's college tuition. No flex, no dramatic pause. He says it like he's talking about groceries. You look at him again. Old Toyota. Simple clothes. Average house. Nothing about him looks wealthy. But suddenly the guy down the street with the leased Mercedes and luxury kitchen renovation starts looking very different. Because real wealth usually hides, while fake wealth usually performs. That's why the #1 car brand among millionaires is Toyota, not Ferrari or BMW. Wealthy people understand that cars are one of the fastest ways to destroy wealth. The average person sees a luxury car and thinks, that person made it. A wealthy person sees the same car and thinks, that payment must hurt. Real wealth doesn't care about impressing strangers at red lights. That's why secretly wealthy people often drive the same car for 10 or 15 years without caring what anyone thinks. Because freedom matters more than appearances. The same thing happens with houses. Most wealthy people don't buy the biggest house they can afford. They buy less house than they could afford, because they know your house controls your financial life. A giant mortgage creates pressure. Pressure to keep earning. Pressure to keep spending. Pressure to keep upgrading your lifestyle forever. That's why Warren Buffett still lives in a relatively modest house, despite being one of the richest men alive. Wealthy people know the more expensive your lifestyle becomes, the less freedom you actually have. And here's another thing nobody tells you. Real wealth is usually quiet. No giant logos. No desperate flexing. No obsession with looking expensive. Because once people actually have money, they stop needing validation from strangers. The loud luxury image people chase online is usually people trying to look rich, not people who truly are. And ironically, the harder someone tries to signal wealth, the more financially insecure they often are. Social media convinced people that wealth should look exciting, but most millionaires have incredibly normal careers. Engineers, accountants, contractors, teachers, small business owners. The millionaire next door usually isn't a celebrity entrepreneur screaming motivation quotes online. He's the guy who quietly worked the same stable job for 25 years, invested consistently, and avoided stupid financial decisions. That's the part nobody wants to hear. Wealth is usually built through consistency, not excitement. Secretly wealthy people also know their numbers. They know their spending, their savings rate, their investments, and their net worth. Most people avoid looking at their finances because it creates anxiety. Wealthy people do the opposite. They track everything because awareness creates control, and control creates wealth. They also hate consumer debt, credit card debt, furniture financing, luxury car payments, vacation loans. Because every monthly payment steals future freedom. That's why financially stable people always seem calmer than everyone else. They don't owe half their paycheck to banks every month. Ask a truly wealthy person what they do for work, and the answer is usually short and boring. I'm in real estate. I own a small business. I do consulting. Then they immediately change the subject. Compare that to people desperate to appear successful. Those conversations become full TED Talks about their careers within 30 seconds. Here's the truth. When people genuinely have status, they stop trying so hard to prove it. Real money doesn't introduce itself. And the biggest difference of all is that wealthy people think long-term. Poor people think in weeks. Middle-class people think in months. Wealthy people think in decades. They invest for 30 years. They buy cars they can keep for a decade. They avoid financial decisions that create short-term pleasure, but long-term stress, because they understand compounding, and compounding rewards patience more than intelligence. That's why Warren Buffett made most of his fortune after age 60. Not because he suddenly became smarter, but because time multiplied everything. And this is the part most people never understand. The goal of money is not to look rich. It's to become free. Free from stress. Free from debt. Free from jobs you hate. Free from panic every time life gets expensive. That's why secretly wealthy people spend differently. They buy freedom instead of status. And once you understand that, you stop envying the loudest people in the room. Because the people who look rich are often trapped by the lifestyle they're trying to maintain, while the quiet guy with the old Toyota might already own his time. And that is real wealth.